So here we have the 2018 bull market high for Ethereum. We have 2021 bull market high, and then this cycle, 2025, 2026 bull market high. How are we going to get there? What signals will we see, and how fast could it happen? And then ADA, very similarly. You're going to start hear me talk about taking profits, selling. I'm going to talk about it way more this cycle than I did last bull cycle. And even when I'm selling, I think I'm even going to just mention it. When it comes to something like ADA, I posted a little bit ago on X. I posted this chart. I was like, it's one of the most bullish charts in crypto. And it really did get me thinking in terms of taking profits and the priority that needs to exist there, and also how urgent of a thing it is. And you might be like, man, look at total crypto market cap chart excluding Bitcoin. Like, this is altcoins. Look at it. It just keeps getting rejected. Hasn't even broken all-time high. We're going back lower. It's like, it's never going to happen. When the move happens, when and if the move happens, it happens fast. This cycle, like never before. I am so prepared. We have our risk models. I talk about them nonstop on this YouTube channel. These are for me, everybody. And I want to go over Ethereum and ADA. It's something I noticed in regards to our risk models that I think will be very valuable to kind of go over from a data perspective. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in, and let's jump into the video. So what I first want to do before we talk about Ethereum and Cardano in terms of selling, in terms of, you know, what that might look like from a risk level perspective and even a price perspective, I actually want to get into the details with Cardano. I want to look at Ethereum price action. So here's Ethereum on the daily chart. This will be a nice little roadmap for the shorter term. I think if you're watching altcoins in general, this is a very helpful chart. And I want to do a little bit of an update on this price action for Ethereum. And I want to actually just show a very quick clip. This is from August 14th, like 20 days ago or so. Check it out. Being said, that bearish divergence that played out back here. Check this out. So you can see Ethereum price, higher highs, higher lows, making a really nice move all along the way, putting in lower highs on the momentum oscillator. Check out what's happening right now. Boom, higher high on price. We just put in a lower high on the momentum oscillator. Let's see how the consolidation plays out on the momentum oscillator. But I think what's really key, what's really important. So I think this is actually very interesting how this has played out so far. We've actually been kind of like wobbly sideways, and look at the oscillator now. So we were kind of like hitting this upper trend line area on this oscillator right around August 14th, right where I have the bar on the chart. And then we've fallen, we've consolidated. And if we zoom out, what I was looking for, and it's still not 100% confirmed, but it is playing out interestingly, is we had this series of higher highs, higher lows going to really nice move for Ethereum. And even at the beginning of that entire move that you see back here on the chart, there was beginning to be this like bearish divergence, right? The lower lows and lower highs. Look at this. This is setting up very similar to what we were talking about in that video. This is good. But the very first thing that I want to continue monitoring is, what does this short-term price action do now that we really are between the 20 and the 50-day moving averages? Because that is the range that in that video even we're talking about. You know, it's a very normal thing for Ethereum to basically consolidate to those areas before a next swing high. I want to be very mindful and careful. There's no guarantee that Ethereum sees support. If Ethereum keeps falling, we're at $4,100 tomorrow or something. I want to bring this into play. That is the actual throwback to the triangle of this multi-year, or to the apex of this multi-year triangle. So there's the apex. We've broken out. A move to the apex is normal and in play. Ethereum could fall $1,000. I just want to say that. It could. I'm not saying it's going to. We want to watch support right now. It'd be awesome if we get kind of that bearish divergence that we saw back here. And this was back in like November, December 2023, just for reference. But we get that like bearish divergence, but Ethereum keeps breaking out to the upside. That could be exactly how this whole thing plays out in a bullish way. We'll continue monitoring, but we have our support areas continuing to kind of stay in play. Right now, the 50-day moving average around 4,100, and then the upper trend line of this triangle around 3,600. So just keep an eye on it. Who knows what's going to go on in markets? Who knows what the manipulators are going to do? Who knows what is going to happen? But one thing is for sure, the technical analysis throughout the years on my YouTube channel, it has helped me kind of put the emotion aside and just anticipate volatile targets and confirmation areas. So that's what I'm watching on Ethereum right now. A break above the 20-day moving average would be a good first sign that we might be getting ready to make a move to the upside, and that is around $4,400. It's not that far away. So let's talk about kind of taking profits. The reason I'm doing this in this video, I got the idea because I was kind of looking in the exit planner, and we can go to like this exit planner. I have Ethereum open, and I was just realizing something that we have over here in this like description area of risk-based exit strategy, because in our exit planner, you can set your exits based on price and visualize what those gains look like. But we've activated risk mode, and back here it says, it kind of gives you these like risk areas. So it's saying 25 to 50 is moderate risk, accumulation zone. 50 to 75 is high risk. Like the risk is getting elevated at this moment. 75 to 100 is extreme risk. And then I realized that number 75. I think the 60s and 70s have been intriguing to me anyway. But then I realized if you go in our exit planner and you can basically, you can put in, if I zoom out here so you can see this better, you can put in the risk levels that you want to be alerted. So like Ethereum, when it gets to 75, you get an alert. And for the members out there, I know I mentioned weeks ago, we're implementing text alerts. We really are. It's taking a little longer, but it is so in play. We're just trying to button up everything and make sure it's done properly. But we're going to have text alerts on top of the email alerts. But long story short, you put 75 here, right? Because 75 is like this extreme risk area. This is going to give you, even if you're not a member, and you should be a member, we have a free trial going on right now. You can do this with a bunch of different altcoins. 75, look at it, painted on this chart. There's that line. It's a 75 risk score line. It shows you in previous cycles at 75 what was price doing, right? And what happened after that. And I noticed something interesting. If you look at 75, and we're going to look at Cardano after this, but you look at 75 on Ethereum last cycle, it really genuinely does seem like one of the best scores to really start scaling out. And if you look at 2 cycles ago, I really want to show you this. It hit a 75 like back here in December, and it topped out very fast after. So if I actually go to the Ethereum chart, I have them like scattered on the charts. Look at this cycle back here. Like within a month, basically, it went from 75 to the top of the bull market. This is so incredibly important. And obviously last cycle, it went from like 49 to 75 very quickly. Big note, right now the risk score of Ethereum is 49. But it went to 75 quickly, swing high, back down, and then broke 75 again. So the 75 area was still a good area to start taking profits, but you can see how the bull market kind of lasted for months and months after that first 75. But either way, that 75 marked the exact beginning of the perfect range to start selling and taking profits. But interestingly enough, 2 cycles ago, it was 75 to the top of the bull market very quickly. We don't know how this is going to play out this cycle. I have speculative like this triangle here. I have no idea. There is such different price action this cycle for Ethereum, but what I do want to draw to your attention is this. Look at the velocity in which Ethereum last cycle went from a risk score of 49 to 75. Like, what is that? It's like within like a couple of weeks or so, probably 2 to 3 weeks. So all of a sudden we could find ourselves Ethereum making its way. This could happen in end of September. It could happen middle of October. It could happen in November. Boom, we're at 75. All of a sudden, I mean, I'm not going to be scrambling. I'm going to have my plan. Our members will have the plan. But when this is happening, I don't know if the market will be so sure. If Ethereum is at like, let's just say it's at like, I don't know, $8,000 or $7,000 all of a sudden into Q4. It's a risk score of 75, maybe 78, right? We're seeing that in the intelligence system. We're setting our exits. If you're an Ethereum holder, I'm not saying I'm setting my exits, but Ethereum holders are setting their exits. And the question is, and the question will be, even when it gets to this moment, if it does make that move, how long until the top from 75? So we see it was kind of like months before the top with kind of two tops. And then that was last cycle. And then 2 cycles ago, it was just weeks. And that's kind of where we are right now. But either way, I think 75, it occurred to me today, is a very strong area in our exit planners to start kind of setting alerts and taking profits. Now, the question as we pivot to ADA will be, well, and I'll answer this up front. Does that mean for something like ADA, I'm waiting until 75 for my first sell? It doesn't. And actually, I want to go to this chart that I did post on X a little bit ago. It really, doing this, it does something, right? The gravity of this momentum going down, but this actually being bullish, because this is an inverse chart. I should have mentioned at the beginning of the chart of the video, but this is an inverse chart, right? But for me, when I did this, it's kind of like this gap, right? Yeah, $8, $10 looks awesome. Somewhere in there, a 75 risk score looks awesome. But genuinely, like, especially from like $1 to $3 all-time high last cycle, this range, as we're falling in this case, even though we're not falling, we're going up in this case, but all of this range, I absolutely encourage, especially if you've been accumulating ADA, and ADA can go way higher than like this range that I'm talking about, but like $1 to $3 in that range, if you've been accumulating ADA for years, there is absolutely nothing wrong with taking some profits on the way up. And I have no idea what the risk score will be in that moment. Like ADA's cruising to $1.40, $1.50. I don't know what the risk score will be. I would be so curious. But taking profits in that area, $2, take care of some things that you want to take care of after just years and years of accumulation, do it. I will likely be doing that. But the thing that gets kind of really exciting, if we go to the ADA weekly chart now, is this. Well, what about when we reach, I'm talking about like this range, right? Like $1 up to $3, $2. What gets very exciting is when Cardano starts breaking all-time highs, right? And what is the risk score doing in those areas, right? So maybe risk score is like, I don't know, 50 and it's like $1.74. I'm just guessing. What happens when it's 75, a risk score of 75? So there's that number again. I want to kind of look at that. So if you go to Cardano and we have the 75 charted here, I just put it before I started recording, you can see that once Cardano in the previous 2 cycles back here, and especially 2 cycles ago, similar to Ethereum, when it hits 75, it is like, I just look at this. 75 on this chart is the best area to start taking profits. If you zoom in on last cycle, for instance, you can see it had a swing high of risk of 86. So it went higher than 75. And then that second swing high was like around 84. So like 84, 86, Cardano hit that area. And then 2 cycles ago, it went to 93, it looks like. But 75 is like that starting point. It's like that sweet number. The question that I'm really curious of as we, when this happens, if it happens, I should say, no, there's no guarantees, where in this story would 75 start? And the way in which we've had price action, I'm not sure. But here's what's crazy. I looked 2 cycles ago, because right now, if we go to the dashboard, let me just update the dashboard. It's at a 36 and it's still at a 36. I didn't know if it updated since I started doing the video, but Cardano's risk is at a 36 right now, right? If you open up the risk model, that in our risk model is a moderate buy. So we are so pre-bull market for ADA, but we go back to this chart. I have it kind of here, 36. You can see here, 2 cycles ago, 34. Look how fast we went from like a 34. I mean, this is a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, 34 to like a 76. Just a massive candle. Look at this candle. This was like from 9 cents up to like 59 cents. Huge move for Cardano. 34 to a 76 risk. That 75, 76 area, look at that signal to take profits. And then even last cycle, we're hitting 75 back here in February 2021, a great signal to start taking profits. Because even if you started taking profits like in this general range, it's sideways and volatile for months, right? Gives time to reevaluate, gives time to see what the risk model is doing. And then it broke 75 again, another signal. Keep taking profits. So this cycle, it's kind of like, again, what would the velocity be from where we are right now, 36? Are we going to go back to the 20s first? But what will the velocity be of getting to 75? 75, long story short, I think is a very, and I think I've decided upon this tonight when I was just looking in our exit planners and really just, I was noticing this once again, the 75 to 100. It's kind of a scale that we have here for members, but I really wanted to visualize it more strongly. I've never really done that. And 75 seems like a very good area to really be serious about taking profits. So either way, you can see how quickly, I think the one thing besides just risk scores and when to take profits and the importance of taking profits, the one thing I did want to illustrate in this video was how quickly things can just take off. And we just have to be prepared, right? And you don't have to be in our intelligence system. I think it gives an insane advantage to our members to know when to sell this cycle. This is why I built it. I'm incredibly excited to use it for myself. But you could look at a chart like this and you could just mentally and very mindfully visualize something like this happening where Cardano's making the move. And you just visualize where are the areas you want to sell in that story. You know what I mean? Visualize it now and pull into play the things that you have going on. Everybody's different. Everybody is in a unique financial situation. You have different things going on. Everybody's different. But really just start visualizing it now instead of just sitting around like, come on, where's a big move? I want a big move. Because I'm telling you, when it finally does happen, it can happen very quickly. And historically, that is essentially how it has happened. When the move comes, like boom. And if you weren't prepared, you're going to be twiddling your thumbs. You'll be emotional thinking, man, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And then tops out and you're round tripping a cycle. Don't do it. So a lot of different kind of moving parts to this video. But I think all in all, prepare everybody. And obviously, I invite you very strongly to get into our risk models. It doesn't have to be just Ethereum or Cardano. We have Bitcoin back there, Sui. We have a bunch of altcoins. You can go to our website and see the altcoins that we do have. But start planning, everybody. This is exactly what I built this system for. This is why I do not feel bad selling this product. For years, I've wanted to do something, but I've not just launched stuff just to sell it because I don't like doing that. This is something I feel fine about saying, you know what, go sign up. And right now we do have a trial still going on. So if you want to get in here, try us out, start planning, get back there and get signed up. I'll put a link below. So either way, everybody, let's watch the price action on Ethereum. You can see we're right in between the 20 and the 50-day moving averages. This can go either way. It's really whatever way the exchanges and market makers are going to take it at this point. But we have our targets and areas to watch for. So appreciate you cruising through. Hit the subscribe. Hit that like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.